The story of the conquest of Jerusalem. Jerusalem, the first of the two Qiblas and the third of the two holy mosques, has a great place in the hearts of Muslims. During the reign of Caliph Umar ibn Al-Khattab, may God be pleased with him, Jerusalem was conquered in a way that reflects the power and justice of Islam, and highlights the sublime values brought by the true religion. The importance of Jerusalem and the motives for the conquest. Jerusalem was under the control of the Byzantines, and it is a holy city for all heavenly religions. Muslims were aware of the importance of the city, not only religiously, but also strategically as the heart of the Levant. After the great victories in the Battle of Yarmouk and the conquest of Damascus, Muslims saw the opportunity to cleanse Jerusalem from the injustice of the Byzantines, and make it a city that enjoys justice and security under the banner of Islam. The Muslim army approaches Jerusalem. The Muslim army was led by the great companion Abu Ubaidah bin al-Jarrah, may God be pleased with him, and included great leaders such as Khalid bin al-Walid and Amr bin al-As. The army moved with a precise plan and besieged the city, relying on a prolonged siege instead of direct battle to avoid bloodshed. The people of the city were behind its fortified walls, but as the siege dragged on, they began to feel weak. The Muslim leaders were calling on them to surrender peacefully, offering them safety and justice. Conditions for surrendering the city. During the siege, the people of Jerusalem asked to negotiate, but on the condition that Caliph Umar ibn Al-Khattab would take over the city himself. The Muslims agreed to this request, and sent a letter to Omar in Medina. When the news arrived, Caliph Umar ibn Al-Khattab decided to travel himself to take over the city, to show the humility of the Islamic leadership. Umar ibn Al-Khattab's arrival in the Levant. Umar ibn Al-Khattab arrived in Jerusalem in a touching scene that showed his humility and justice. He was wearing simple clothes, and riding a beast that he took turns riding with his servant, which astonished the people of the city who expected a great leader with pomp and grandeur. When they saw this humility, they realized the greatness and justice of Islam. Surrender of the city and signing the Umar covenant. Umar ibn Al-Khattab entered the city, and received the keys to Jerusalem from the priests, and that was in the year 15 Ah corresponding to 636 AD. A treaty known as the Pact of Omar was concluded, which guaranteed the rights of all residents, Muslims, Christians and Jews, and prevented any attack on their places of worship. Omar said in the pact, "In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, this is what the servant of God, Omar, the commander of the faithful, gave to the people of Alia in terms of security. He gave them security for themselves, their money, their churches and their crosses. Their churches will not be inhabited or demolished, they will not be forced to change their religion, and none of them will be harmed." Omar's prayer in Jerusalem. Umar ibn al-Khattab visited the Al-Aqsa mosque, part of which had been destroyed due to neglect. He ordered the place to be cleaned and rebuilt. When it was time for prayer, a priest offered him to pray inside the adjacent church, but he refused so that the church would not be turned into a mosque in the future, and he prayed outside. This position demonstrated Islam's respect for peaceful coexistence. Building and reconstructing Jerusalem. After the conquest of Jerusalem, Muslims became interested in reconstructing and rebuilding the city. A mosque was built in the place of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and the city became an important center for science and trade. The conquest of Jerusalem was a turning point in the history of Islam. It was not just a military victory, but a model of justice, tolerance and respect for other religions. This conquest laid the foundations that would last for centuries, making Jerusalem a symbol of unity and peace.